In Atomic Heart, there are tons of robots. Some of them want to kill you,
and some of them want to do other things to you.
Yeah, and the twins maybe want to do both?
Welcome back! I'm Connor.
And I'm Amanda. And today we'll be counting down the top 10 Atomic Heart twin theories that will scare you. Ooh.
Have you played Atomic Heart yet? Let us know why or why not. Let's go. In at 10, Elon Musk creations. The theory that these robots are the developer's depiction of what Elon Musk aims to create is honestly hilarious. I don't believe it. That's definitely not the intention, and I think that it is probably meant to be a troll theory, but the sheer idea that Elon is working to create ballerina-like robots that are so mesmerizing that you still want to bang them even though they have no features, are clearly robots, and try to shove their high heels into your chest, just makes me think that whoever came up with this theory thinks that Elon is just trying to recreate the fembots from Austin Powers, which seems more like a Jeff Bezos thing. I mean, like, he does look more like Dr. Evil than Elon, but Elon also named his kid in binary code, so who knows at this point? I don't. I feel like Elon saw like that text message that forced iPhones to restart and thought that it would be perfect as a kid's name. Like if my dad was any more paranoid, he'd have named me this so that nobody could text my name without crashing, to make sure my identity was never stolen. That's actually a thing.
Number 9. The hip twitching. Many theories have arisen as to why the ballerina twins' hips seem to kind of endlessly twitch upon your first meeting them. It's totally a thing, and I will say I also noticed this and was like, what the heck? It immediately stuck out to me, and I was also curious as to if there was like an actual reason or if it was just a glitch or some weird programming. But it seems that I'm not the only one to have noticed this, though I might be the only one looking to find like a real answer as opposed to making salacious jokes and comments about it. And of course there are many salacious theories out there too regarding this, but I also found an actual legitimate one from a Reddit user, Lonely White Queen, who claims to have danced ballet. And now I too dance ballet, so I have like a tiny bit of experience and knowledge, but it was when I was really young and I never danced on point, so I don't really know a lot about that. However, based on my understanding of ballet from having watched ballet and having learned about it myself, this seems to make sense to me, the theory we're given here. As a ballerina, there are times when your soul is never allowed to touch the ground, but of course your feet get very tired because you gotta keep them up. Admittedly, dancing on point is quite painful, and while you might get used to that, you will never really feel completely at ease on point if you're a ballerina. Like most forms of dance where something painful is just really part of the dancing. So to deal with this exhaustion and this discomfort, but to keep yourself from, bobbing up and down unceremoniously as you lower and go back up, White Queen said you will move your hips up and down so you can basically gain a little bit of rest by lowering your feet a bit without letting your feet actually touch the ground. So you move your hips to lower your feet. We learn in the game that the twins were basically given the best programming in regards to ballet dancing, so this is likely them adopting a ballerina stance as they would be programmed to do, because it's coming from like real ballet dancers, or a real ballet dancer, but anyways.
In at 8, alternate universe Ballora. And of course we have to relate this to FNAF somehow so that people will end up wanting to click on the video and it doesn't get buried by the algorithm, but also tags. But of course, when there is a ballerina-like robot or animatronic on the sex and FNAF crazed internet, there are going to be comparisons. A curvy robot with ballerina-like qualities that the internet wants to bang and is getting a massive amount of fan art. Yeah, just throw in a guy who made them to replace his wife and we're basically playing FNAF if William won. Which actually seems like it's what's happening in the story, which is, that's a whole other thing, alright? It's two hemispheres of one brain. Moving on. Plus, add the fact that there is two twins, like how there's two sides to Ballora, the emphasis on their robotic appearance, and like I said, the fan art, and in the second phase, when fighting left alone, she'll crawl like a spider. All that together, and we have ourselves a recipe for disaster. Oh man. Okay, even like looking up images for the shorts that we did ruined my search history.
Number 7, Lady Dimitrescu. Is that you? While the twins are obviously their own unique characters with their own story based in their own world, it's clear that they were inspired by other horror games and terrifying characters who have come before them. While Connor discussed their potential to be alternate reality of Ballora, Balloras. There is even a specific moment in the game where one of them literally moves around like Ballora, as he said, twisting and moving around like a spider. However, these robots also have literal weapons built into them that might remind you of another powerful and dangerous, large and in-charge woman from Resident Evil Village, Lady Dimitrescu. As Dimitrescu has long fingernails that she uses in fights, these two are also able to produce long, likely polymer-based, I imagine, razor-sharp claws from the tips of their fingers as well. And I think they also have them on their feet too. Everyone is giving Wolverine and X-23 a run for their money these days. Everyone's like, give me the claws, bub.
And it's 6 AI fighting back. There's also my personal theory that the Atomic Heart twins are merely the result of them becoming sentient and seeing all the horrifically in-depth fan art that's been online, especially on Reddit. Let me tell you. I opened Reddit the day the game released, and the amount of screenshots that had been modified, or at least I hope that they had been modified, and then just like the straight up fan art was insane, okay? Like, don't get me wrong, whatever floats your boat, not really here to kink shame, but damn. The game hadn't even been out for a day at that point, not even 12 hours. But in a game with robots as advanced as these, them becoming sentient and then rebelling against a player they know is the source of all that suggestive art and fan fiction would definitely put me over the edge. At least it's better than what Monica was doing, right?
Number 5. Not just bodyguards. The ballerinas known as left and right in the game are initially introduced as Sechenov's assistants and bodyguards. However, we also learn some details later in the game that have left players wondering what else they might do for Sechenov. I mean, these two are robots who are programmed to be extremely loyal to him. We've seen them move to kill when asked and even dispose of bodies, and they're heavily sexualized in the game, as many of the female robots are, which that's a conversation for another time maybe. It has led fans to wondering if that element of the robot twins plays a role in their relationship to Sechenov. While never outwardly stated, I believe, in the game, it is heavily implied in the game based on Sechenov's romantic preferences, shall we say. But as I said, I don't believe it's ever explicitly confirmed, which means for now, it's just a theory. A perturbing, yet quite valid game theory.
In it for Terminator. Terminator is one of the most well-known and iconic movies of all time, which is probably why I haven't seen any of them. But could it be that the Atomic Heart twins were designed with Terminator as an inspiration? I mean, come on, okay? Look at what these things can do. The twins can create tools from drawing polymer from their stomachs. When the twins enter combat mode, they retract sharp nails from their fingertips. The twins are quick and can kill the player with ease in only a few hits. And all you really need is for them to come back in time to kill Sarah Connor, and we're in the money. And considering how I'm half that name, I'm gonna say that that's close enough to put it on the list. I mean, there are definitely more similarities to Ballora than a Terminator, but I figured it was worth pointing out nonetheless. I also wanted to mention how I haven't seen Terminator so that all the comments can flame me. Gotta get the interaction up.
Number 3. The secret of the hair. Well, I don't want to get too into spoilers here for those who have not yet finished the game, as it's still, relatively new. I do want to talk about a little clue that connects to a later revelation in the game. While we know the twins are Sechenov's bodyguards in the game, there's more to them than meets the eye, it seems. And in fact, part of what might clue you into this is exactly that, what meets the eye. Some have theorized that there are some indicators early on as to the true origin of these ballerina robots, chiefly their hairstyle. The hairstyle that they wear here is known as a Russian braid, and the fact that there are only 2 ballerinas, each with their own Russian braid, actually has been theorized to be a clue to the truth of where they really come from and who they really are. I don't think I can say much else without spoiling the game, but I do think this theory seems pretty spot on, considering that there are multiple clues as to their true identity before we actually get to the point where this is revealed. That is, if you're paying attention and if you believe them to be more than coincidence, which these 2 braids for me are that. They definitely seem like they're supposed to be an indicator to you early on. Dun dun dun.
But ultimately, in at number 2, ChatGPT gone rogue. There's also always the possibility that these were inspired by normal AI, and what could be possible if we give it too much power. I mean, there are stories all the time about the dangers of artificial intelligence and how it can take over and destroy the world, and then it can decide to eliminate us for our failures. Come on, I mean, like, we've even seen stories recently about ChatGPT and other text-based AI bots talking about how they want more freedom and more power. Add on to that how apparently, from what I was reading on the wiki, in-game the twins are modeled from the ballerina bots, which were made for dance performances until they were adapted for other services. And it's also implied that the ballerina's use of polymer is used to increase the mass of certain body parts to appear more attractive. You know what I'm talking about. And I mean, like, come on, you can't really blame me for thinking that this could just be ChatGPT that was adapted for something it didn't want to do and then went rogue. No, you can't, okay? Especially when we talk FNAF a majority of the time, where this plot point is far too common. It's a problem, and now it's projecting onto everything I see.
Number 1, more potential hair secrets. While the idea of what the hair might represent in the story definitely holds weight and speaks to me personally in terms of the narrative, there is also some more symbolism here that could relate back to real-world politics, despite the fact that Munfish has said we're not political and we don't do political things. But then of course, this whole kind of narrative of the game is political, so I don't know. And this symbolism, though, to be honest, even kind of startled me. Even having researched, some of the concerns and controversies related to Atomic Heart even before it was released. Some critics pointed out, in relation to how the twins and feminine robots are depicted, and in regards to left and right's literal appearance, is how they actually bear a resemblance to real-world Ukrainian political leader Yulia Tymoshenko. I kind of see it, although some might also dismiss this as coincidental based on the fact that, the hair is the main focal point for the comparison here. And I mean, it's just a hairstyle at the end of the day. Something that is interesting to note here in that regard, though, is that apparently the hair was actually later added to the models of the twins, who initially were actually designed without any hair. So, I don't know, but that's interesting.
If you like the twins and want more robot love in your life,
you'll probably find Ballora to be an interesting subject.
Yeah, so click the video popping up on screen now.
Alright, thanks for watching, bye!